Are you mocking us? What is this amount? One day, I kept getting calls from my parents, and when I answered the phone, they suddenly yelled at me. I couldn't understand what my father was saying, and I was confused. When I asked about it, it turned out they were upset about the amount of money being sent. My sister Allie was sending as much as $4,000 every month, but they thought my contribution was only 50 cents. 50 cents. That's not right. I am sending $4,000 every month properly. I asserted them. What? Don't lie. Allie, being a model, earns more than you and has been sending us $4,000 each month. I am really disappointed in you. Allie is so smart. My father expressed his dissatisfaction. My mother also criticized me. Are you just enjoying living alone and spending money as you please? Why don't you learn a bit from your sister? She sends us so much money she's earned. You don't care about us at all, she said with a sigh. As usual, my parents were more lenient with my sister. I couldn't understand what my parents were saying and was bewildered. Overwhelmed with sadness, I couldn't find the words to speak. Why do they think I am sending only 50 cents? Despite my dissatisfaction, I decided to follow my parents' words and stop sending money for a while. I am Violet, a 28-year-old employee at a food processing company. There is a 5-year age gap between my sister and me. Allie has had the face of an actress since she was born. Everyone who passed by was captivated by her appearance and looked back at her several times. Adults invariably praised her, saying, "I have never seen such a cute child." In contrast, I had a more ordinary appearance, so adults often laughed when comparing us, saying, "Violet's face is so plain." My parents believed that Allie would definitely succeed as an actress or model in the future and adored her incredibly. On the other hand, their attitude towards me was significantly different, and this disparity had been clear since we were young. When I was in elementary school, I wore old clothes given to us by neighbors, while Allie's clothes were always new and reflected the latest trends. Furthermore, I had never taken any lessons, but Allie would start taking them as soon as she expressed interest in anything. Spoiled from such treatment, Allie became more and more overbearing. "I don't have to lend my things to you, Violet, but it's okay for me to use your things," she said, and took away my cherished stationery one by one. Even when I complained, my parents always defended her, saying, "Allie is still a child, forgive her." Even when Allie was wrong, they would say, "Forgive her, Violet, you are the older sister," dismissing my opinion easily and not listening to me properly. I was fed up with Allie's cunning ways. Yet, our parents never scolded Allie. I sometimes felt depressed by my parents' blatant favoritism towards my sister, but I resigned myself to accept it. When I was in the upper grades of elementary school, Allie said she wanted her own room. Everyone knew that Allie wouldn't give up until she got her way, so my parents told me, "Violet, move to the living room where our grandparents' portraits are. You don't have many clothes, and it's enough if you can sleep." Reluctantly, I took my bedding to the living room and decided to sleep there. There were pictures of my grandparents on the shelf in the living room, both of whom had passed away early. My grandparents died shortly after Allie was born. Unlike my parents, my grandparents had cherished me very much when I was young. It was my grandfather who had chosen my name. The origin of the name Violet is because I was born during the spring violet season and my grandfather loved violets very much. When I was young, I often sat on my grandfather's lap. The reason was that it was very comfortable and I felt enveloped in warmth. I remember grandfather saying, "Violet, no matter how hard things are, you can always overcome them. After that, happiness will come again, just like violets blooming." Such memories suddenly came to mind. Even afterwards, my parents' treatment of me differed significantly from that of my sister Allie, and I never felt comfortable at home. As I grew older, I developed a dream of becoming a school nurse. I talked to my parents about wanting to take the university entrance exams to fulfill my dream. "There's no way we have the money to send you to university. Get a job after you graduate from high school," they said. "Violet, you are the older sister. Think about Allie too. We need to save money for Allie's sake." My parents dismissed my aspirations without any consideration, making it unthinkable for me to go to university. However, our family was not particularly poor. Financial-wise, I think we were an average household. Considering Allie's future, my parents made do with the bare minimum for me, and after high school, I got a job while Allie went on to a prestigious university. After graduating high school, I started working at a small to medium-sized company 3 stations away from home, and at that time, I decided to move out of my parents' house. I had hoped to stay at home and save money until I got married, but I knew that if I stayed, I would continue to feel marginalized. Therefore, I decided to live in a reasonably priced studio apartment close to my company. Living alone was very comfortable since my parents' house was not a relaxing place for me. Meanwhile, Allie, carrying all my parents' hopes, continued to live at home after graduating from university and worked as a model. She was scouted by a talent agency while shopping with friends. My parents were thrilled that Allie had joined a talent agency, and bragging about it became a part of their daily routine. One day, Allie called me, talking about expressing her gratitude to our parents. "All that we sisters have achieved is thanks to Dad and Mom. From now on, let's repay them for all they've done for raising us," Allie said cheerfully, energetically. It seems that Allie, who used to only care about herself, has really grown up. I've been thinking about what we can do for Mom and Dad. After all, money might be the most helpful. How about giving them about $4,000 a month? $4,000? Isn't that a lot? I was taken aback by the amount suggested. Modeling must really pay well. I think Mom and Dad would be surprised if they got that much money from us. I want to surprise them soon, so let's start this month. Although I was a bit skeptical, I had heard that our parents were in debt because of us. They said they were struggling with the debt, so I decided to accept Allie's suggestion. However, I was barely making ends meet myself. To send $4,000, I would have to dip into my savings. My salary was about $3,000. Even if I lived on $1,000, I would still be $2,000 short. Therefore, I decided to work as a security guard at a construction site on weekends. The pay was decent, but the work at the site was very physically demanding. In summer, I had to endure the severe heat, and in winter, the bitter cold. I thought about quitting many times. However, the people I worked with unexpectedly treated me kindly, often buying me drinks and food because they thought I was doing well. And to save on food expenses, I tried to limit eating out as much as possible and kept unnecessary spending down. But $4,000 was still far off. How could I earn more money? All right, let's get a certification. After much thought, I devoted myself to studying for a certification, sparing no time for sleep. Days of being chased by work and studies hurried by. At that time, I received a call from my parents. Busy as I was, I couldn't answer right away, and they left several missed calls. "Sorry I couldn't pick up the phone sooner. Did something happen?" The first words that hit me when I finally answered the phone were, "You are horrible. What do you think of us?" I could hear my father's angry voice on the other end of the phone. Behind him, I could also hear my mother agreeing, saying, "Really?" I had no idea why they were so angry. "Are you mocking us? What is this amount? What do you mean? Are you talking about the money I send?" I was confused and couldn't understand what they wanted to say. "Do you know how much Allie is sending? $4,000. And you send just 50 cents. Are you mocking us?" My father's shout echoed. "That's impossible. I am sending $4,000 every month properly," I asserted strongly, surprised by my father's words. "What? Don't lie. Allie earns more than you from her modeling work, so she's the one sending us $4,000 every month. I'm really disappointed in you. Allie is so smart." My father expressed his dissatisfaction. My mother also criticized me. "Are you just enjoying living alone and spending money as you please? Why don't you learn a bit from your sister? She sends us so much money she's earned. You don't care about us at all," she said with a sigh. What's going on? I couldn't understand what my parents were saying and was just confused. Overwhelmed with sadness, I couldn't say anything more. Previously, Allie had suggested, "Since it's from both of us, let's keep it a secret and use the name Rainbow when we send the money." At that time, I didn't know that Allie's stage name was Rain, and it turned out that the name used for sending 50 cents was under my name, Violet. My parents believed that Allie was the one depositing $4,000, and before I could explain, they yelled, "We don't need such a mocking amount of 50 cents from you," and hung up the phone. I felt very bitter towards Allie for setting me up. That day, I couldn't sleep at all and felt complex emotions. I was wondering whether I should continue sending money in this situation. So I decided to talk to my high school friend, Nina, who works at a consulting firm. Nina was very capable at her job and has always been a reliable and justice-minded woman since high school. She is very trustworthy because she gives frank opinions when consulted. Fortunately, her workplace was nearby, and we were able to talk over lunch during our break. I was surprised when you said you needed to talk all of a sudden. What happened? She said, staring at my face. I want to talk about something concerning my family. I began to tell her about the recent events. After listening to my story while nodding, Nina asked me, "Are your parents really struggling with money? Aren't they still in their 50s? She was also astonished by the amount of $4,000. It seems they have debts. It's money spent on us, and my sister Allie suggested that we send money to our parents to show our gratitude. Nina looked surprised and comforted me, saying, "You say it's money spent on both of you, but you didn't even go to university, right? Isn't it mostly money spent on Allie? And isn't your dad working too? There's no need to send $4,000. It's unimaginable that they suddenly need $4,000 when they have been living fine so far. If they say your contribution is just 50 cents, why not stop the payments like your parents suggested?" I agreed with Nina's advice. "You're too kind, Violet. You shouldn't let yourself be pushed around." Nina's words resonated with me. What am I to my family? I should never just do as my family says. I reminded myself. 2 months later, my phone wouldn't stop ringing from the morning. Thinking it was too persistent, I answered the phone, and Allie was angry. "Why haven't you been answering the phone all morning? And why did you stop sending money on your own? What were you thinking?" Allie shouted, her anger apparent. "I'm already overwhelmed with my own life. I was told that our parents were struggling because suddenly there was no $4,000 coming in. But I knew that the $4,000 was turning into Allie's pride and our parents' wasteful spending. Actually, Nina and a friend of Allie's were acquaintances, and I had heard this from Nina. Nina has a wide network and had been asking around for my sake. I always suspected there was something off. I also heard that Allie spends quite a bit on clothes and cosmetics," Nina told me. Hearing this from Nina, anger welled up inside me. Even though I was cutting back on my expenses and working part-time, it seems Allie had been telling her friends. My big sister is my source of funds, so I rely on her money. Lately, I've been struggling because I don't have money from my sister. I might have to cut back on facials and cosmetics for a while. Then, I found out that my mother was buying luxury brands and my father was not going to work but gambling instead. It felt ridiculous to support my parents' and sister's wasteful lives with my money. Do you think I don't know? Dad is working, so my money isn't needed, right? I declared. A week passed, I've heard everything. Next, my parents came to me. The $4,000 payments had stopped, and it seems Allie had told them the truth when they called her. I can't afford such money. She had apparently revealed the truth through tears. Allie had been telling our parents that she was earning a high income as a model, but in reality, she was not making any money at all and was a burden to the agency. Allie only worked as a model occasionally. Though cute, she had no talent in singing or dancing, and nothing particularly outstanding, which made it difficult for her to succeed in the entertainment industry. Her jobs were low-paying, such as modeling for inexpensive online shopping catalogs. This came to be known by our parents, who were furious. We've been strict with Allie, you don't worry, and continue sending money as before. Of course, there was no apology for accusing me of lying. We've prepared for 2 months, so please deposit it when you can. You are reliable, after all. My parents brazenly demanded the 2 months of payments I had stopped. Their greed knew no boundaries. I heard from Allie that there was some debt. Is that true? I asked something I had been wondering about for a while. Debt? There's no way. We covered the tuition with your grandparents' inheritance, my father coldly stated. Allie's claims about our parents having debt and needing money were false. We just need a bit more for shopping since your father's salary isn't enough, my mother, said Namai Noland. It was clear that my parents had enough money for their lifestyle, and they didn't need mine. Father's income should be enough. Besides, why doesn't Allie get a full-time job somewhere? When I firmly said this, my father retorted, Is that how you talk to your own parents? I didn't raise a daughter to act like this. My mother followed, we don't need a daughter like you. My parents looked displeased. If you're going to be like that, we'll just use the savings your grandfather left for you. You're no longer part of this family. Shockingly, my parents said they would use the money my grandfather had left for me. Do as you like. But from now on, don't contact me again. I thought about how I didn't want to be treated conveniently by my parents and Allie anymore. When the two of them left, tears spilled out. What was my existence to my family? Then 2 months passed, and suddenly the doorbell rang. There were my parents and Allie at the door. I thought I would never see them again, but I reluctantly opened the door. I was puzzled by the poor appearance of my parents and Allie, and they too were surprised by my appearance. What's with that look? With puzzled faces, my parents and Allie asked me, since I had become prettier and was wearing more expensive items than before. I had diligently studied and obtained a small business consultant certification. Thanks to the certification, my salary improved at the new job Nina had introduced me to. I'm leading a fulfilling day-to-day life as a team leader. The company is a bit far, so I'm planning to move to an apartment nearby. I explained calmly. Before you indulge in such luxuries, give us some money, they demanded. Are you planning to abandon your struggling family? Just lend us some money, they pleaded. The three of them were saying whatever they wanted recklessly. Disgusted with my parents and Allie, who started demanding money as soon as they knew my income had increased, I said, with Dad's and Allie's income, you can live a luxurious life. In reality, Allie hardly had any work. The modeling world is tough. What do you know, big sister? Allie appealed with a voice on the verge of tears. The radiant appearance she once had was nowhere to be found. Allie, who was struggling with her job, was scouted by another talent agency that thought she was suited to be an actress. She decided to borrow money from her parents and move to the new agency. However, a large amount of money was required to join this agency, and her father even invested his early retirement severance pay, but it turned out to be a scam. After paying the money, suddenly no one from the agency could be contacted anymore. Surprisingly, no formal contract had been signed. I was dumbfounded by such reckless behavior. Before you come to me, go to the police, I advised. Right after that, someone from a consumer finance company came. Are you family? It seemed they had followed me. I found out that my parents and sister had borrowed a large amount of money aiming for a windfall with her acting career. Moreover, Allie was relieving stress at a nightclub. As a result, they were completely out of money. Despite having no money, my parents pursued their dreams and gambled, ultimately ending up with nothing. I was thoroughly dismayed by their actions. In response to the question from the consumer finance person, I declared, I don't know these people at all. I have nothing to do with them, and I left the scene. Later, my parents filed for bankruptcy and their debt was temporarily gone. They sold the house and now live in an old apartment. Both of my parents got jobs through a temporary agency and seem to be managing somehow. Interestingly, the construction site where I used to work part-time was apparently my father's new dispatch destination. I will be in your care starting today. Ah, it's the old man. Help me out. There used to be a young lady here before, but she quit. She worked hard and earned money to send to her parents. I'd like to see the face of parents who make their daughter work on a construction site. My father's face stiffened. Allie gave up modeling and entered the nightlife, but her self-centered personality led to her being unwelcome by customers, and she was fired from nightclubs and lounges one after another, eventually managing to earn her living expenses at a small bar. Her appearance has changed drastically due to increased drinking. Among the regulars at the bar, the story that Allie was once a model seems like a mere illusion. A model? Who are you kidding? Look in the mirror. She is mocked for how much her body has changed. I have cut ties with my parents and sister, and I am enjoying my life. 5 years have passed since then, and I was attending Nina's wedding. The wedding was held in a chapel in Miami overlooking the sea. In front of me, the blue sea and sky stretched out. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of openness. Next to Nina, her husband stood smiling with a solid build. A new life was growing between them. Nina seemed to have been focusing on her work, but she had been dating a colleague. I achieve everything I want on my own. I discard what I don't need quickly. "Violet, you should also face your feelings," Nina said with a smile, shining brighter than ever. Her husband, standing beside her, also laughed jokingly. "Don't throw me away. Okay. I'm really grateful to you, Nina. Be happy." I responded with the biggest smile I could muster. Nina's wedding was a special day for her, the woman who gave me freedom, so I wholeheartedly celebrated with gratitude. As the wedding was drawing to a close, a man appeared at the venue, breathing heavily. Apparently, he was a friend of the bride and groom. Nina introduced him as Nicholas, and his nickname was Nick. He was tall, well-built, and had a very charming smile when he laughed. He apparently runs an architectural firm as the representative. "I wanted to introduce Nick to you, Violet. Your personalities are almost the same, aren't they?" Nina said, laughing at her own joke. Finding Nina's laughter amusing, both Nick and I ended up laughing together. Afterward, Nick and I hit it off in conversation and decided to go out for a meal together. I feel like violets are blooming inside me. From now on, I plan to enjoy both work and love, and live life to the fullest. Grandpa, please keep on watching over me from the sky. I'll make sure to blossom fully. If I go buy the drinks everyone asked for, I might finally be able to take a break. Until then, I'll just have to keep pushing through. Actually, I can't freely move the left half of my body. When I was a sophomore in high school, I belonged to the softball team. On my way to a game, I got involved in a traffic accident. I can't recall the details very well, but that accident changed my life. Although I managed to walk again through daily rehabilitation, my left side remains immobile, so I can't let go of my cane. Nobody would have imagined that at this age I would be living a life dependent on a cane. However, once I accepted this reality, I realized that somehow things can work out. I bought drinks for everyone at the shop and returned to the entrance where my family was supposed to be waiting. But, nobody's here? That's odd. There was no sign of them at the spot where they were supposed to be waiting. I'm sure this is the right place. I placed the drinks I was carrying on a sofa and looked around the entrance. Still, I couldn't find the three of them anywhere. Glancing towards the security checkpoint, they had already lined up there. To be precise, they were right in the middle of being screened. Oh, what a situation! My dad had arranged all of our plane tickets. The fact that he was getting screened without me meant I couldn't board the same flight. Even if I lined up then, I would probably just be turned away. Waiting for my dad to finish his screening, I took out my smartphone and called him. "Hello? I've bought the drinks and come back? I completely forgot about you." "Sorry about that. You can drink all the drinks you bought and feel free to go home and do as you please." It was a brief exchange, but the phone call ended there. So, I was left behind after all. I felt a bit disappointed, but since this kind of treatment is a common occurrence, I didn't dwell on it. Dad, Mom, and Maggie, they're always like this. You don't get angry at anything lately, do you? Maybe the accident messed up your head a bit. You used to be quick-tempered, taking everything seriously. Maybe you've mellowed out as a person. I think that's true. Since the accident, it's as if I've changed. I no longer feel anger. It doesn't feel real, like it's a story happening far away. The doctor explained the nuances of my emotional state, but I don't remember much. Thinking back, I realized that the after effects of the accident have made it so I can never play softball again, something I had always put my all into. In such moments, most people might give up or feel a sense of despair. But no such feelings arose in me. All right, that's how it is, or, well, what should I do now was all that came to mind. Everything felt as if it was someone else's problem. So, when I was left behind at the airport while I went to buy drinks, I wasn't perturbed. I immediately went to the airline counter nearby to ensure I could reach my destination. The male staff at the reception was very kind and attentive, taking care of everything from luggage to boarding procedures. While feeling grateful to him, I managed to pass through the security check successfully. Although I missed the flight I had originally planned to take, I couldn't give up on the hotel at my destination, so I immediately looked for the earliest available flight and bought a ticket. I had already contacted the hotel about my stay, and I had no intention of canceling. In fact, canceling wasn't even an option for me. Honestly, it was too much trouble to go back home. Despite the extra expense, I really wanted to achieve my goal since I had come this far. Thanks to the thorough support of the airport staff, I finished the security check smoothly and was guided to the boarding gate with assistance for my luggage. As I was enjoying some relaxed time near the gate, my smartphone started ringing. The calls were relentless, and the missed call log just kept increasing. Wow, so many calls coming in. It's kind of scary. Are you okay, Mom? Ah, sorry. Here's my ticket. Everything checks out, thank you. Are you sure you're okay with your phone? Ahaha. It's hard to talk on the phone while using a cane. Sorry. I see. I'm planning to call back once I get to my destination. Thank you for your concern. Despite the odd conversation, I put away my smartphone to board the plane. As I said to the concerned airport staff, I planned to call back after arriving, which I thought would be no problem. I settled into the seat indicated on my ticket, set my smartphone to airplane mode, which had been ringing incessantly, and decided to enjoy my journey through the skies. 2 hours later, I safely arrived at my destination and sat down on a bench at the luggage claim, waiting for my checked baggage. I need to make that call back. Tentatively, I turned off airplane mode on my smartphone. Then, I muttered, no way. I've never seen more than 50 missed calls before. Dad, Mom, and even Maggie, who rarely contacts me, had left an incredible number of calls, 57 in total. Maybe I'm more popular than I thought. Hello, Dad? What's up? Why didn't you answer your phone? Anyway, where are you now? I'm at the airport of my destination. You didn't go back home? That's good then. Come here quickly. What happened? Everything's a mess. When we tried to check into the hotel we booked, they asked for a way higher rate than expected, and we're in trouble. I see. That could happen. I don't know the details, but they said you're involved somehow, and I'm really confused. Please come quickly. Our plans are ruined if you don't. Got it. I'll head there as soon as I pick up my luggage, so wait for me. After hanging up, I collected my luggage and headed towards the taxi stand. I felt conflicted. Something didn't sit right with me. Dad, who had been acting like he didn't need me just a while ago, was now suddenly asking for my help when his own situation turned disadvantageous. Anyone would think the same under such treatment. With no particular reason to hurry, I slowly made my way to the taxi stand. Mom, let me help you with your luggage. Thank you. Shall I put it in the trunk? Yes, thank you. As I slowly approached the taxi, the driver swiftly jumped out of the car, took my luggage, and quickly loaded it into the trunk. I deeply felt that there are kind people in this world. My family is nothing like them. Where to? Please take me to the Royal Bayside Hotel. Understood. By the way, did you come here alone? Yes, that's right. You might have wanted to come with your family or someone. I'm sorry if that sounds rude. Right. Haha. Actually, I was supposed to come with my family, but there was a little misunderstanding. Is that so? That must have been tough. Well, I have no obligation to cover for them. Explaining the whole situation to the taxi driver wouldn't change anything. While responding lightly, I decided to take a short rest in the taxi. My family has always given me the impression of being a very strict household. When I was young, my parents were very, very strict. Now, they spoil my sister Maggie so much that I sometimes wonder if we are really sisters. But back then, I used to envy other families for how strict ours was. My dad was a professional softball player, a celebrity known by everyone. I still remember feeling secretly proud whenever people talked about my dad at school. Listen, Cheryl, you're going to surpass me. You have a natural talent. You must become a great player. Can you do it? This was my dad's usual phrase. As for my mom, "You've inherited your father's excellent athletic skills. But aren't you bad at studying? It would have been nice if you had taken after me in that aspect," my mom said, sounding dissatisfied. Hearing this, my dad responded, "If you had been more like your mom, you may have more options. But you're like me, and you're not good at studying. That's a problem. You have to work hard to become a professional softball player that's better than me." "That's right. You're our child anyway, so you should naturally have that talent." It would be strange otherwise, my mom would always say, in agreement with him. Both of my parents were incredibly prideful. The atmosphere at home was such that they couldn't accept their child being anything but outstanding in at least one aspect compared to others. They emitted an aura that dictated daily, extraordinary efforts to reach that level. At the time, I took their words at face value without truly understanding their real meaning. As an adult, I finally realized that their educational approach was more about satisfying their own egos. From elementary to high school, my parents never allowed me to freely play with friends, insisting that any spare time be spent training or practicing softball. My will was completely disregarded, and I was raised to be an obedient child who followed my father's words. So, when asked about my memories from elementary, middle, and high school, I struggle with how to respond. Looking back, all that remains in my memory are softball practices, games, and training. Other than that, the memories are filled with a harsh home environment and the oppressive feeling of never being praised, no matter how hard I tried. By the time I was in middle school, I was always irritable, like a kettle ready to boil over. I can't specifically say what was bothering me or what made me angry. I just disliked everything. "Mom." Cheryl hit me. "Waba." "Stop that, Cheryl. Why would you hit her?" "Shut up." "She keeps playing her games right next to me, disturbing my training." "Don't get angry over such things. It's okay if she plays next to you, isn't it?" "What do you mean by such things? She has her own room. She should play there. Why does she have to play right next to me?" "Hey, just because you don't like it doesn't mean you can hit Maggie." Our house was like this every day. At that time, I was in my rebellious phase and felt very irritable. Naturally, I clashed with my dad and got hit every time. "Hey, what was with today's game?" A pitcher returning like that is the worst, Cheryl. Don't act so high and mighty when you can't do it yourself. Say that one more time. "Well, it's true. Dad, you always order me around. What's up with that? Do you even realize who you're talking to like that?" This was a common scene in our household. Whenever I made a mistake in a game or practice, Dad would invariably complain. If I talked back, he would hit me without mercy. Objectively speaking, my family environment was abnormal. But at that time, I was so dominated by anger that I didn't feel scared. Due to my parents' excessive pride, I was never given any free time. Still, as a child, I understood that I was expected to meet those expectations. Even when I advanced to high school, the situation didn't change at all. Nothing but practice was required of me, and I couldn't even enjoy the meals I liked. I was put on a nutritionally managed diet and felt like I was treated merely as a tool for playing softball. Yet, I continued to work hard to meet my parents' expectations. To others, my daily life might have seemed like hell, but those days ended unexpectedly. On my way to a match, I was involved in a traffic accident. I'm sure the traffic light was green when I crossed. Even though I checked and was sure I could cross, I was hit by a truck. The bike I was riding was completely mangled, a stark testament to the severity of the crash. The police told me that everyone who witnessed the accident was deeply shocked. I consider it incredibly fortunate that I survived. However, I was left with permanent disability on my left side. This accident marked a turning point for me, as I no longer became upset over things. With this condition, I could no longer meet my parents' expectations. Strangely, I felt neither despair nor sadness. Everything seemed inconsequential, and I found it hard to think deeply about anything. Right after regaining consciousness, I overheard a conversation between my parents. She's finished. She's alive, but her path as a softball player is cut off. It seems so. But we still have Maggie. Unlike Cheryl, she can manage well enough in everything. Not just studies and sports, but she also has many other possibilities. Yes, we still have her. At that moment, something inside me burst. It was an odd sensation, more than fear or anger. Ah, these two are really in the wrong. That's when I finally understood. Since then, I felt guilty towards Maggie. After that day, my parents' obsession shifted from me to her. I finally arrived at the destination hotel. The taxi driver carefully unloaded my luggage. "Have you forgotten anything? Would you like me to help you to the lobby?" "Oh, no, thank you. I can manage this myself." "Understood." "Then, I'll take my leave here. Please enjoy your trip." The driver sent me off with a cheerful smile. I thought to myself what a kind person he was as I slowly walked through the automatic doors into the hotel. "Sis, you finally made it." "Sis? Who?" It was definitely directed at me. "Sis." It's been a while since I've been called that. Then, Maggie rushed over and vigorously picked up my luggage. "Really, Dad is the worst, isn't he? I'll carry the luggage." "Cheryl, you missed the plane. That must have been tough." "Well, at least you arrived safely." "Aren't you tired?" "Oh?" They have the same faces as the family I know, but it's like they're completely different people inside. These people, who are talking to me so artificially, what happened to them? "No, I really think I did something bad." "Really? It's okay. I'm not worried about it." "Dad, leaving your daughter behind is just terrible, isn't it? Are you in a position to blame me?" "Both of you, this isn't the time to talk about that. Let's go to the front desk first. We need to let them know Sis has arrived." "Mrs. Cheryl, welcome. It's great to see you're doing well." "Matthew, thank you for taking care of us." The person who rushed over after hearing the commotion from the family-like people was Matthew Perry. He is the manager of Royal Bayside Hotel. "Please make yourself at home and relax as if you were at your own house. If there is anything you need, please do not hesitate to ask." Ahaha. I couldn't possibly impose that much. "My son Ryan arrived here yesterday, and he's looking forward to meeting you." "Ryan is? That's wonderful. I'm sure he must have been busy with college." No, I wish he would study more seriously, but I don't feel much enthusiasm from him. However, when he found out you're coming, he suddenly insisted, "I'll go even if I have to take a break." That's just like him. Matthew speaks in a familiar tone. Indeed, we have actually known each other for a while. To put it simply, I was slightly involved in the management of this hotel. In fact, his son Ryan and I were classmates and teammates from middle to high school. Even when I was bedridden in the hospital, unable to get up, he would come to see me every day without fail, a truly good friend. He would tell me about various things happening at school, and even after I was told by doctors that I could no longer play softball, he treated me exactly the same as before the accident, which I really appreciated. As I struggled with my rehabilitation, he would passionately encourage me, saying, "If you ever need anything, just let me know. I'll support you with all my might." Yet, oddly enough, he also came to me with his own problems almost daily, a rather curious guy in that respect. During my hospital stay, I heard from him that the hotel my father was assigned to manage was having a tough time. At that time, still unable to move my body as I wished, I spontaneously began to study various subjects. Officially, it was for future purposes, but in reality, it was just to relieve boredom. Are you, by any chance, projecting yourself and your father onto each other? Eh? What do you mean by that? I don't understand. Ryan has a strangely sharp intuition. He's the kind of person who, without any concrete proof, suddenly hits the nail on the head, a bit unnerving at times. I heard you've been studying recently. I don't understand the difficult stuff though. Well, Yes. I've been studying marketing, but I've just started, so I don't quite understand it myself yet. Wow, what's marketing? Listening to your father's story made me think. Maybe it's a good idea to innovate in how things are promoted and sold. It's like when you're trying to secure a starting position, you have to sell yourself, right? That's right. If I don't showcase what I can do in the next game, I'll quickly be off the starting lineup. Our school is known for being competitive. Yeah, I'm still learning, so I can't explain it well yet, but I think it's important to clearly showcase our strengths. Foon. You're still hospitalized for a while, right? Once you're a bit more recovered, try talking directly to my dad. I really don't get the complicated stuff. And frankly, it's a hassle to listen and then relay it to him. You're the one who brought it up. It's not a consultation, it's just a vent. If I understood it all, I'd do it myself from the start. That's true. Right? This was what led Ryan to introduce me to his father, Matthew. It ended up being after I was discharged from the hospital, but there was still room for improvement. Matthew and I had many discussions about the future management strategy of the hotel. Thanks to our efforts, the hotel's popularity soared, becoming a hot topic on social media and greatly increasing guest traffic. I am truly grateful. If the dire management situation had continued even a year longer, I was seriously considering something drastic for the whole family. Please don't even joke about that. But it's really great that we managed to turn things around. Yes. I can't thank you enough. You are so young, yet you think of such excellent business strategies. That's too kind of you to say. If you get well, please visit our hotel. Ah, that. Yes, I would be glad to visit. I'll keep up with my rehabilitation for that reason, I replied with a smile. But Matthew had a complicated expression. However, I had found a new goal. It was a modest one, to stay at the hotel I had helped manage. That goal became my motivation to live. Rehabilitation was tough, but I continued with a positive mindset. Thanks to that, my body has recovered enough that I can walk short distances on my own. I have something I'd like to confirm here, Matthew began as he started the conversation. Surprisingly, we were not led to a guest room but to the manager's office instead. The front desk staff would take my luggage to the room I had booked. It was my first time at such a formal hotel, but it was incredibly comfortable. Why didn't your family come together with you? Your father initially said, "She won't come," didn't he? No, I believe I said. "She hasn't come yet." My father tried to correct him. Foon? It's impossible for us to forget our dear daughter. It was just a matter of seat availability. She had to take a different flight. I was really worried, sis. I'm relieved that you arrived safely. I silently observed the three of them continue their obviously staged conversation. Matthew turned to me and asked calmly, "Your family says so, but do you confirm their story?" "Well, I could let that slide," I responded. "And what do you mean by that?" "The three of them said they were thirsty, so they asked me to buy drinks from the store. Naturally, it takes me longer to walk. When I got back, all three were already at the security checkpoint." "What do you mean by already?" Matthew looked at them with an intensity I had never seen before. There's a certain gravity when a usually calm person gets angry. No, we thought we'd go through security first," one stammered. "Dad, you know you can't get through the security checkpoint without a ticket." "He simply forgot, really." "Ah, my bad. I mistakenly thought I had already given Cheryl her ticket. It seems I must correct you." Matthew interrupted my parents' attempts to justify themselves. "Until I took over, it appeared to me that you were speaking more assertively to our front desk staff. However, the moment you knew I was acquainted with your daughter, the story seemed to change, didn't it?" "Well, about that. Thanks to your daughter's cooperation, our hotel has become a fully private club. It is possible to register as a member on the day of your stay. But in that case, there is a regulation that a first-time annual fee of $20,000 must be paid," he explained. That amount is different from what we were told before. Mom, let's stop this. But, with all due respect, it does not feel to me like MS. Cheryl's family. What did you say? I cannot understand how you could treat your child, who has overcome numerous difficulties and made great efforts, in such a way. It doesn't seem like something a parent would say to their precious child. This is an issue within our family. An outsider like you shouldn't interfere. Indeed, I shouldn't be meddling in another family's personal matters. That's why I prefaced my remarks by acknowledging they might be rude. What is this all about? Enough. The special membership price we offered you was out of gratitude towards your daughter. It was solely for her, not for you, and the way you treat her does not befit a family. Matthew then continued firmly, Please leave immediately. We will extend our hospitality only to Mrs. Cheryl Green at this hotel. Furthermore, we ask that you refrain from using our services in the future. My father, mother, and Maggie were escorted out of the room by some robust men who had appeared seemingly out of nowhere. After watching them leave, Matthew quickly turned to me and respectfully said, Please forgive any disrespect the hotel has shown until now. There were certain matters that the hotel could not compromise on. Ahaha, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter to me either way. So what does that mean exactly? Foon, how should I put it? It's like, the timing is just right. I'm not particularly shocked, but this incident has made me feel that whether those three are with me or not, it doesn't really matter anymore. I see. Yes. After I stretch my wings here for a bit, I might consider starting to live on my own. I answered with a light smile. I hadn't thought about it in detail, nor was I absolutely determined to do it. Either way, it wouldn't bother me. That's how I had felt from the beginning. After leaving the manager's office, the pair of robust men who had appeared earlier somehow escorted me to the room I had booked. We were surprised to find out that you were the savior of this hotel. Honestly, I had imagined someone older. Sorry I didn't meet your expectations. Ahaha. Not at all. We have the manager's approval, and during your stay, we are dedicated to supporting you wholeheartedly. Please let us know if there's anything you need. Wait a second. Isn't this a bit too much enthusiasm? The push is quite strong. It seems that the hotel staff know about me. I was utterly bewildered as I encountered staff members treating me very politely or reaching out for a handshake, something I had never experienced before and didn't know how to handle. Noticing my discomfort, the men in black acted like bodyguards, protecting me from the staff. What? What's this situation? It felt like being treated like a Hollywood star. Just when I finally sat down on the sofa, thinking I could rest, a visitor came to the room. Ah. I thought I was finally going to have some rest. Yes, come in? As the door opened, a familiar voice called out, Hey, best friend, how's it going? Ryan. Wow, it's been a while. I took time off just for you. You should be grateful. You just wanted a break from school, didn't you? Don't point that out. Hey, I heard your parents left you at the airport? That's hilarious. It's a seriously funny story, right? They really did leave me. I'm just glad I didn't end up at the lost and found. You're not a kid anymore. No lost and found for you. Imagine being called over the airport PA system. Mrs. Cheryl Green from so-and-so is at the lost and found. Please come to pick her up. That would be a riot. Stop it. I'm laughing so hard it's making me even more tired. Ryan's absurd jokes brought a spontaneous laugh out of me. Reuniting with my best friend like this was refreshing enough to make me forget my fatigue. Softball was everything to me. When I lost that crucial part of my life and felt I had lost my purpose, Ryan was the only one who continuously cared for me as Cheryl Green. No typical high school student would think of introducing another to his own hotel manager father. Even more bizarre, the father listened to the ideas of an inexperienced amateur. Few people would seriously consider a high school student's plan to revive a nearly bankrupt hotel. but I believe there was a solid trust between Ryan and his father, and they must have always cared about me too. I was truly fortunate to have such a good friend. It was a peaceful afternoon when I thought about these things. The stay at the hotel was supposed to be for a week. However, I've been enjoying the single life for a while thanks to some complicated job posting rules, but having you here, Cheryl, has been a big help. Why is it, I wonder? I'm now living with Matthew. Initially, he seemed very formal and strict, but at home, he turned out to be surprisingly easygoing and warm. Rely on me more. Think of me as your father if that helps. Why don't we just live together here, he suggested, almost like a confession, which startled me at first. However, living with him turned out to be surprisingly comfortable. He has a calm demeanor, never imposes anything on me, making it incredibly easy to feel at home. I heard something through the grapevine, Cheryl. Feel free to ignore this, but your sister seems to have been rejected for a school recommendation. News travels fast, huh? Apparently, her bad attitude was witnessed by other people. I don't know the details, but it seems it caused quite a backlash. Yes, it sounds like everything club activities, school grades, friendships has been going terribly. Is it karma, maybe? Are you enjoying her misfortune? No, not really. You sound quite detached even though it's about your own sister. They say the opposite of love is indifference. So no, not really. Ooh, scary. I'd better work hard not to be thought of that way. By the way, is today's meeting at 4 p.m.? Yes, that's right. I've arranged for a ride, so don't worry. I am currently working as a freelancer, without belonging to any specific organization, continuing my work freely. I'm enjoying this peculiar and delightful living arrangement with my new family. It seems my best friend will visit again by the end of the year. But to make sure Matthew can rest well, I need to remind my friend to absolutely keep quiet at night.